Hi there, it's Alexandra from the Middlesized Garden blog and YouTube channel, and I'm waiting for the sun to come up in the woodland garden at Doddington Place Gardens in Kent. This year we're seeing a lot of woodland style in show gardens, so I thought it would be nice to take you around a real woodland garden and discover expert tips on how you can adapt the woodland look and feel in your own garden, even if it's just planting something more around a single tree. I asked Lucy Adams, head gardener at Doddington Place, for her tips, but before we get on to the tips and advice, let's have a 40-second stroll around the woodland garden. So how can you create a woodland garden feel in your own garden, and what should you be planting near your trees? Lucy Adams says you need a structure. Think about a top layer, those are the taller trees, then a middle layer where shrubs would go, such as rhododendrons, azaleas, mahonia, camellia and more, and then think about ground cover planting. Hostas, bluebells, dicentra, euphorbia, primulas, forget-me-nots, they're all beautiful woodland ground cover planting and they're happy with some shade. When actually planting plants near trees, Lucy says you should think about the woodland edge. Plant your shrubs and ground cover where they will get some dappled light on the edge of the area that the trees cover. And it's particularly important to find out what will do well in your soil. Doddington Place Gardens is mainly a typical Kent garden with clay soil, but the woodland garden area is an acre or so of acid soil where woodland shrubs such as azaleas and rhododendrons flourish. If acid-loving plants don't like your soil, then put them in large pots with ericaceous compost. And Lucy says that one of the most important things to bear in mind is that woodland plants will either do well in dry shade or in damp shade, but those two conditions are very different, so check what you've got and then check plant labels carefully. Woodland soil is also covered in years and years of leaf mould, so it's very rich. Allow leaves to drop and rot down and add plenty of nutritious mulch. A woodland garden can take really strong and vibrant colour. There's so much green and so much shade that the brilliant reds, yellows and oranges of rhododendrons, azaleas and camellias can really sing out. Lucy Adams thinks these strong colours work better in a more woodland setting than in a standard border, because without the trees and other shrub leaves to balance them out, they can look garish. And a bold coloured shrub can also be a focal point in a garden. A high crimson rhododendron can be enjoyed from a distance. Another thing to do is to look at leaf shape and the shade of green it is. This woodland garden has a wonderful contrast of leaf shapes and colours, from the very dark to the bright greens, the bluish greens and even the reddish greens. And the leaf shapes vary from lacy pine needles to the huge glossy paddles of rhododendron leaves. Woodland gardens don't have lawns, but Lucy Adams says it is important to look for what she calls a pause. Think of a clearing in the woods or a bench at the end of a path. You need views through the woodland, she says. Above all, when you look at the woodland garden at Doddington Place, you can see that all the trees are well cared for and well shaped. A woodland garden may look natural, but each tree here is allowed to have its own space, and each tree is pruned so its natural shape can be enjoyed and some light can be let through to the plants below. A few weeks ago I visited Leonardslee, a largely woodland garden in Surrey that has recently been restored. The woodlands and shrubberies at both Leonardslee and Doddington Place Gardens are around 100 years old, as they were both planted in the early 20th centuries. And much of the work restoring Leonardslee has been about clearing and pruning the woodland that had been allowed to run wild. There are some stunning azaleas, rhododendrons and camellias at Doddington Place, but because the woodland garden was planted so long ago, no plant lists remain. However, you could always show the relevant bit of this film to an azalea or rhododendron grower who would then be able to recommend you which plants to buy. There are links in the description below to Doddington Place Gardens and also to Leonardslee, both of which can be visited by the public. If you haven't subscribed to the Middlesized Garden, we have tips, ideas and inspiration for people whose gardens aren't quite big enough to have a whole woodland garden, but who do love their trees and would love to have beautiful planting around them. Thank you for watching.